So, Ethan, man, listen, man, I appreciate you, man. So, we're the Turnaround Podcast, and I always say, you know, each episode is special. Each episode is different because each guest is different, and each guest is special. And having you here today, man, is what I like to call, man, is humongous. Thank you for being here. This is your Etonian Dermite. So, we got a two-time, if I'm not mistaken, ACC Champion?
Yeah.
Two-time?
Mm-hmm.
So for those who don't know who we got at the Turnaround Podcast today, if you don't mind, Ethan, just tell us who you are, man.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. Yeah, I'm Ethan Ramos. I'm from Hawthorne, New Jersey. And I wrestled for most of my life. It's been like 24 years now.
Okay.
And I did other sports. I did football, track, even cheerleading for 1 year. And I've been wrestling for Puerto Rico for the last, I think, 8 years now.
That's what's up.
And so that's how I continue my international wrestling career.
That's what's up.
But I did 5 years at UNC, Chapel Hill. Then I moved to Mongolia to be a missionary.
Okay.
And so I kind of did it through the avenue of wrestling, trying to reach Mongolians in that capacity.
Mongolia, wow.
Yeah, so like for those who might not know, it's right above China,
Yeah.
right below Russia. And it was a great time. It was me and my wife, so
Okay.
we got married my senior year in college.
Okay.
And she was in a job working at Red Hat, and then we just kind of picked up and left in January. We ended up buying a coffee shop there, and lived there for about a year and a couple months. And then we kind of got trapped in America once COVID hit. So it kind of derailed our situation there, but ended up in Rutgers doing a year of being a resident athlete. And then when that ended, I ended up looking for a coaching job, and that's what brought me to Duke. So it brought me back down here, so it's been 5 years back here as a wrestling coach, and now I've transitioned more to being an athlete again. So with Duke, I'm like part-time as a non-coaching staff, and then with UNC, I'm part-time with them also as an athlete.
You're a busy man. That's why I say I super appreciate you, man, because you got a lot going, man. You got a wife, you're a father.
Yeah, 2 boys and a little girl.
Okay, so you got 3 kids.
Yeah, so 6, 4, and 7 months.
Yeah, keep you busy, stay busy.
Oh, yeah,
That's what's up.
I'm homeschooling too, so.
Okay.
I'm the one doing it, so yeah, I definitely stay busy.
Yeah. You know what, man? I read a lot about you, man, and I was just like, how did you commit yourself to 5 years all ACC honors? So when it comes to academics, like, how did you just buckle down with the books like that?
Yeah, well, I mean, in college it was tougher just because there were some classes that were like, you put all this effort in and it's like they try to make you feel like, it felt like that with biology and chemistry. Like, I really love those subjects. Like, you get to the test, you feel like you know everything, and then it was just complete curveball. Like, so those were like my worst classes in college. Right? For me, I just always like had a really high standard, and it was like, I always wanted to be all straight A's throughout high school. Like, even to the point where when I was a kid, I used to have like really bad anger issues, and when I get my report card, if I had a B, I would like start getting really frustrated and sometimes lose it a little bit. So that kind of followed me, and it was, in college, I was able to let go of it a little bit because my schedule was more busy.
Right.
Yeah, so it's just kind of like the internal drive of like, I want to do the best I can, so I'm going to buckle down and do it, you know.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Now, you know, we athletes, and the sacrifices that go into any sport, team, and you're a wrestler, so that's all on you versus I play a team sport. You got teammates to rely on, or sometimes it might be a little unfair, but somebody else might, you know, had to wear the burden of, oh, he lost the game because of this player did that.
Yeah.
But boxers and wrestlers, that's all on you. Like when you step out there on the mat or in the boxing ring, it's just, you know what I'm saying, on that island. I wrestled in middle school.
For like 1 year, or you got a couple?
Just 1 year, because I didn't actually play basketball on a competitive level until high school. My mama put me in the rec leagues and the church league, but from an organized standpoint, when you play school competition, then, you see what I'm saying? So there's no disrespect to the rec, because that's where we all started, in the rec, you know what I mean? So we can see if we can get through some questions, man, just to pick your mind a little bit. You said you didn't really know a whole lot about basketball.
Yeah.
Man, it's perfectly fine, man. We athletes, man. Like I said before, we got a lot in common. You know what I'm saying? We play 2 totally different sports, but I like to think you can't play wrestling. It's a little different. you can play basketball, but wrestling is a little different. How old were you when you got into wrestling?
I was like 7.
Like 7?
I took 1 year off to try basketball.
Okay.
I like enjoyed it a little bit, but it was also like pretty frustrating for me.
Why was it frustrating?
Just I didn't get the rules really that much,
Okay.
and I was like just over anxious to try to shoot it when I got the ball. So it was like just threw it at the hoop and would miss a lot. And like I said, I had anger issues, so it didn't go too well for that. But I did end up learning basketball a lot more through my cousin when I spent the summer with him in Florida. So I feel like I can play a lot better now. But yeah, so I started around 7 or 6, and yeah, kind of got more serious about it when I was, I think, 6th or 7th grade, where I started really diving into the technique. Because before that, it was like I was doing well, but because I was just very aggressive, stronger than almost everyone I wrestled, and then I had a very strong will.
Right.
But then when I started getting the technique down, I wanted to focus on that, is where I started taking off more.
The word you use, technique, that just, that goes into the disciplinary aspect of what we do as athletes. It's all about perfecting the technique, you know what I mean? And to compete on professional levels, you already know this, aggression. Gotta have aggression.
For sure.
You don't have aggression, then you get taken advantage of. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I learned that at an early age. You know what I mean? Getting bullied coming up in school taught me that, getting bullied in the parks as an 8-year-old around that time, because my mom would let me, I was old enough at the time, her mind was she could let me go off to the park and go play basketball or go play in the neighborhood. And when you venture out away from home, you run into other kids in the neighborhood and kids who come in from other neighborhoods or whatever that be at the park. And that's where I ran into bullying. All of that type of stuff, what prepared me to eventually play and compete internationally. And when I met you, I was like, yo, we relate. You know what it feels like, obviously, being in other countries and things like that. You adjust to the weather, could be totally different than where you're from, food, language, all kind of things.
There's definitely a lot to adjust to.
Being athletes, you got to make decisions during the course of a wrestling meet or the course of a basketball game, and the experience, you learn what decisions not to make. And in a compare and a contrast, when in real life versus a sport, when you make a mistake in a sport, you can call a timeout. Versus in real life, you don't get a chance to call a timeout and reset. So, and it's all a learning tree.
Yeah.
Life, sports, because that's how it intermingles.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that too, because it's like, when I think about wrestling, I feel like it really prepares you for life, in that you really don't even get a timeout for wrestling. It's like, you get a break for 30 seconds in between the 2 rounds.
Okay.
You can't just stop. If you stop, it's really like you got poked in the eye and you need a second to
Okay.
stop. But you can't be like, I need to take a second to think, or otherwise you can get hit with a saw.
Yeah. So you do a lot of conditioning?
Yeah.
What's your favorite routine? You want to put that out there?
Yeah, I don't mind.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's my favorite thing is to just wrestle really hard when I'm drilling and like in practice. So I think I get my cardio and conditioning mostly from that. But when I'm preparing for a tournament and stuff, like I try to add more cardio sessions, so just like a longer bike. It's like, I believe, to have better endurance, you don't really need to kill it with like super high intensity on it. You also don't want to be too low. It's kind of the mid-range for like 30 to 45 minutes. So I try to do that more often, and then I'll try to like put in some sprints as well, like maybe 20-second sprint, 10 seconds off for like 8 to 20 goes, and then the rest kind of be like more at a medium pace. And then there's things I'll do like after practice sometimes, like a 3-minute stance and motion go. It's just like in your stance and you're just moving around, which is like, it feels a lot harder than if you're just drilling with somebody, because you're not putting your hands on them, so you're just like in a squat position almost.
Like a defensive position too, right?
Yeah, I mean, because I can be like down blocking, sprawling too if I want, just moving my feet a lot. And then this last cycle I did before the Pan Ams, I was doing more like, you saw one was a kettlebell workout, another day would be a dummy workout. So I got a wrestling dummy it's like a tacker dummy on suplex. So it's a lot bigger of a dummy. I think like, I want to say it's like 80 pounds or so. But just doing like circuits with that.
Right. Okay. Yeah, man, that's awesome. And like I said, it takes a special person to do that too. And you definitely a special person, man. So like I said, I admire, just meeting you and then learning about you, like I admire you. Ramos.
Thank you.
Yeah, I admire you, man. You know, just because a person older don't mean they can't admire someone younger. And I feel like what you're doing is like super huge and super great, man. You know, and I know your family and your friends, they got to be proud of you, man. I know the country Puerto Rico, they proud of you. You know what I mean? Because what I can tell, they proud. Hell, I'm proud to meet you. You know what I mean? So I know they proud. Yeah, man. So I'm from Edenton, North Carolina, man. Shout out to Edenton, North Carolina, man. What up, E-Town? Puerto Rico, what up?
Where is that exactly?
Edenton?
Yeah,
So Edenton is in northeast North Carolina. Like I would say like another hour and 30 minutes past Rocky Mountain.
Okay.
And by the way, we Tar Heels around here. Shout out to Duke. What up, Blue Devils? But yeah, we Tar Heels, man. I come from Tar Heel household. My sister, she 2019 journalism school at Carolina.
Yeah, sure.
And my mom, she a heavy UNC fan. I'm a heavy UNC fan. Some of the family members, they ain't too smart. They want to pull for other schools. But hey, ain't nobody perfect. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. We're going to talk about some roots and some foundation. So we got an Olympian wrestler. Yes, sir. That's what's up, man. That's special, man. Two-time ACC champion. Yeah. Wrestling is different from most sports because there's nowhere to hide out there on the wrestling mat. What did that teach you about yourself?
Well, I think it taught me just that I'm not afraid to fight, you know? And like I'm willing to put the pressure on me and to lean into that. You know, when you go to like the New Jersey State Tournament, it's one of the biggest like arenas that you really get to. Like even now, like it's still one of the biggest arenas I've wrestled in. I think it's even bigger than the Olympics at the time. Like just for like specific arena, you know, not the like world stage wise. But when you're going out there, you know, it feels like a hockey arena.
Yeah, those things are probably huge.
Yeah, it was really big, and there was a lot of people there. But when I was there, like the whole time I'm focused on trying to win a state title. It's like I'm not really thinking about the fans, or not worried about it, and I'm just trying to lean into being my best in that moment. And with a lot of people, like that pressure of just having all these people around, that itself can just kind of break them and freeze or just do the wrong things. And I think I realized from being there is like I don't mind that.
Right.
Like there's things that, like I told you I did cheerleading one year, right?
Right, that's right.
I was in front of like a really small crowd, but for some reason like that was a lot more scary. Like way more than any wrestling tournament I've done. But I think it was because I didn't know as much and didn't feel as comfortable like doing a dance step, you know.
Yeah.
But when I'm out there like fighting somebody and wrestling, it's like I know my body's gonna take over and do that. So
Yeah. We do what we do naturally.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I think it just kind of made me realize I'm not worried about the fight, and like I'm willing to take on full responsibility, even like with football, you know. Like I was really into football. I felt like I was just as good at football in high school as wrestling. But like in those games, I took a lot of responsibility on myself to see whether we were gonna win or lose, because I was trying to be the difference maker in those. And I think that's kind of like the same idea.
Did you actually play some football? You
said like 13 years.
Yeah. I played, I think my 7th grade year in middle school.
Right.
I was a wide receiver. Then I ran track and something.
I was more of a lineman. I was lineman the whole time. Like, because when I was in like little league, I was too big to be like in the back or anything, because I had a weight limit. I was 85. Okay. I grew up bigger than everybody like early on, and I kind of stopped around my weight. But by the time I got to high school, I wanted to be like a running back, but they just feel like we don't want, like we have people that can do it, and you're really good on the line.
Yeah,
so just keep you there.
Yeah.
So kind of started off just defense, and then went into some offense too. And then I did like all the special team stuff. Yeah,
we share the same passion with the same sports when it comes to that. Wrestling and football. That's like, how can I say it? That's what little boys supposed to be doing. You know what I'm saying? Playing some football and wrestling. That's what I feel. And does the sports run in the family?
Not so much. I mean, my dad did do JV wrestling for like, I think 2 years. And his brother did as well, but he was a little better with it. But yeah, they weren't that big into sports. I mean, they were big into watching sports, you know, but I don't know that they played that much. But my cousin was like 2 years older than me, and so he got into the wrestling, and I think that kind of kicked off my dad being like, oh, we should get them in sports. And then just kind of the energy that me and my brother had, because I'm a twin as well. So it's just like, we should put them in sports.
You say you're a twin?
Yeah, fraternal twins.
Okay.
But we were always just like wrestling with each other all over the house and breaking things. And
that's what's up.
So yeah, I think my dad just kind of realized like this is something that was good for us, and then we excelled with it. So it was like, let's just keep going.
Now, who's older between you and the twin?
I am.
Okay, that's what's up.
1 minute, yeah.
What up, twin? I got a lot of twins in the family too. That's what's up.
Oh, nice.
I got another question for you. Mental toughness. What's one moment in your career where you really had to fight through adversity mentally?
Yeah, there's been a lot of moments, but I think the two most recent ones I can remember were regarding like the Pan Am Games.
Okay.
Do you know what that is?
No, break it down.
Yes. So they do games with all the sports actually, but so they have the Olympic Games, but then they also have these regional games, right? Like there's the Pan Am Games, so all of Pan America, and there's even the Central American and Caribbean Games.
Okay.
Right. So that one would exclude the U.S. and South America and Canada.
Okay.
Right, so that's one I'm like leading up to right now, which is gonna be like August 1st and 2nd.
Okay.
But I did the Pan Am Games one year in Chile.
You said in Chile?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was, me and my wife were kind of figuring things out with how it should be with communication and competition, but she was with the kids and she works at home, like remote. But she has like a pretty intense job as well, so when she's there watching the kids, it's a lot of stress because she's gotta be kind of back and forth trying to do her job. So I try to make sure that she doesn't have that problem ever, and that's why I'm homeschooling them. But, you know, she's communicating all that stress, so like I was very stressed during that competition. I think it kind of leaked into the competition. So I wrestled this guy, he was a two-time national champ, Mark Hall. We had this tight match, I think I lost like 6-2 or something like that. But it felt like very winnable, and, and I just was like kind of distraught from it for a while, and I couldn't bounce back.
Yeah.
But I was gonna go wrestle for bronze, which like for Puerto Rico, like this is a really big deal, like these games specifically. And so like I'm trying to get my mind right, and then I go and wrestle the bronze match, and I had like one of the worst matches ever. I just felt like I could beat him. I felt like I could beat him pretty good, but he would just get to my leg, and I just wasn't reacting right, and so I lost by tech, and I was just completely distraught. And at that point, I was like, maybe I should just retire. There's a lot of times where I was losing these matches where it's like I'm down by a lot, I come back, and then there's like a little mistake that I lose on a tie, but they had the last score. Or like a ref called something incorrectly, and it would have been me winning by a tie or a point. So it's just like a lot of back things that I felt were kind of going the wrong way. And then I had all that stress, and then I just competed bad. So I was like really contemplating quitting, but when I left, I felt like God was like really trying to tell me to stay in it, because it's like the guy I pinned the first round was like really hyping me up and talking to me and like trying to encourage me about like how I wrestled and everything.
That's what's up.
And he was encouraging me to stick with it. My teammate, he was like a big voice in my life at that point.
That's what's
Darian Cruz, and he kind of helped me see things from a different perspective. And then there was some kids that were just there that were just watching, but they loved watching me wrestle. They were being super encouraging as well.
And you need that, yeah.
Yeah, and so it was like, I just felt like there was two kind of like outlandish ones, but one that was like kind of what you'd expect. It felt like God was saying like, just stick with it. And then the next year we had the Pan Am qualifier, and that's where I qualified for the Olympics.
That's what's up.
So it was kind of a crazy situation. And then there was another one where it was like with Central American Games, right? This one I ended up getting bronze, but it was like this Colombian guy. I wrestled twice, and both times I lost him. It was like a ref decision. The first time he threw me, like real nice throw, put me to my back, but I put him to his back from there. So I'm thinking I'm gonna get the pin, but the ref stops it, and we're like in bounds. And it was a mistake to the point where like she had to restart us, have him on bottom, which only happens if like they do mess it up or someone tries to run out of bounds. So he starts on his belly.
Okay.
And I start on top, so it's kind of like I get the advantage, right?
Okay.
But I only get that if, like, say he's on bottom and he tries to flee,
Okay.
or if the ref makes a mistake on that situation.
Okay.
So that's what happened. So she put him there, and then ended up being like a tied match, but I lost on a 4-point throw because they go by criteria, the highest point or the last score. So then the next match we wrestled, it's the same ref. And this time I'm kind of handicapped because my knees aren't really working. It's real tight. I finally get into a shot, and I'm about to finish it, and there's 4 seconds left, and as I'm coming up, she stopped the match again. And I kind of lost it on her, and I apologized later. And I think it's just, like, I don't think she was really trying to cheat me. I think she just made a mistake. But it was just really hard. One of those situations where, again, like, I lose a tight match, I have to wrestle for bronze, I get it this time. But then later on, I wrestle him to qualify for Olympics.
Yeah, the Colombian.
Yeah, and that's the guy I ended up beating to qualify. Yeah.
That's huge, man. Like, I mean, how many people can say they competed in the Olympics? That's the biggest stage there is. That's huge, man.
Yeah.
Huge.
It was super encouraging to get there, man.
Yeah, I bet. You know what I mean? So you was in the Paris 2024 Olympics.
Yeah.
I was watching those Olympics.
Yeah.
I've always been in love with the Olympics because that's where the best collide at. You see what I'm saying? Like the best come from all around the world. The thing about the Olympics to me is like, I look at it from a spiritual sense. I admire the different nationalities and ethnicities that come together to compete. You know what I'm saying? To me, it's like the ultimate testament of the human spirit.
And like we said, like a spiritual sense, it reminds me of like a verse in Revelation where it's like talking about how every tribe, nation, and tongue are going to be together worshiping God. And that's kind of the feeling I got when I was even like leaving the Olympics. I was like, I didn't really feel like an Olympian until I left. And you have like this giant crowd in the track arena, and then you have all the workers there like lined up as you're walking out, just cheering you on. It kind of made me think of like the angels are going to be like celebrating you entering heaven.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what it felt like. And that was a pretty crazy experience.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, a lifetime, man. You know, won a college championship at a JUCO level, that's, you know, but to make it to the Olympics, oh, come on. I'm a sports junkie, man. I watch boxing. I mean, it's just one thing too, man. I never understood, like, it's called amateur wrestling, but you guys are real professionals.
Yeah.
And the WWE, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I grew up watching the WWE and the SmackDown, but I was a kid. So I used to love the Road Warriors, Sting, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it was like when I got older and I started realizing, oh, it's fake. But I never understood why they call it amateur wrestling when you guys are the upper echelon, you know, the real McCoy.
Yeah, no, I've always wanted to. I think it comes down to pay, because we don't get paid like that, you know. Like your country pays you to be a national team member, but each country, you know, that could be very little or that could be a decent amount. With Puerto Rico, it started off a lot smaller and then became like a decent amount, you know. And like, there's not a lot of competitions where you get paid for winning the competition.
That's what we call politics. Black folks, we just love this politics. When anytime there's money involved, we say it's politics.
And somehow, I guess that makes it professional, but it used to bother me with the WWE too. I'm like, I used to not like it because of that, and then I realized more recently it's like, all right, they're like entertainment.
Yeah, they entertainment.
So like, I don't hate on it as much.
Right.
I'm like, all right, you just kind of have to know that.
Yeah, because they'll sit there and like, I knew it was fake when I realized like, guy could be in the ropes and another guy, you know, sitting there just punching him out, and the crowd counting the punches, and the dude that's being punched, he counting the punches. That's when I was like, you know what, I'm good. You know what I'm saying?
I give them their flowers on it. I mean, they do work out hard, and they are athletes, so I give them, you know, but I just kind of have to have that caveat, right? It's not actually professional wrestling, it's just entertainment. And I actually have one guy that I trained at Duke, a WWE guy now.
That's what's up.
But there's two guys from there, but one that I trained.
That's what's up. All right. What did it mean to represent Puerto Rico on the Olympic stage?
It's always a hard question to like really explain. Yeah, because it's like describing exactly what it means is difficult. I don't know, it's just very special.
Yeah.
Like, it makes me think about kind of like identity in terms of like, you know, I'm an American, but I'm also Puerto Rican. Mm-hmm. And I think there's a lot of confusion a little bit after I had joined in Puerto Rico, you know, because before, really the only ones that would transfer to different countries was Russia, like in terms of wrestling. You know, you might have a Russian guy in Georgia or France or whatever, right? And so like when it started happening more with the US, because now it's happening a lot, I was a little bit before that, and there was some people thought about it in kind of a negative way, almost being like a traitor almost, or like, does he even wrestle, or is he even Puerto Rican, or is it because he's trying to find like an easier route or whatever? And for me, it's always been like, I just have always identified as Puerto Rican first before American. Like, and I understand like for some people it's like, hey, like you're American first because you were born in America and all that, but it's just been, that's kind of the culture I grew up in. Yeah. And that's where I felt more aligned with, you know. And so it's like something I want to go back to. Like I want to go and live there and raise my kids in that and have that culture be a little more understood as well. But I'm kind of like in the middle, you know. I think it's called like a diaspora athlete, where you're like in the middle of two spots. So you feel like you're kind of not either one fully, but I do align with the Puerto Rican side. And so that's just a long way to say like, it's complicated, but I feel a lot of pride in it.
Yeah.
And I think like, you know, in the beginning, the Puerto Rican athletes weren't happy about me coming. You know, it's like they're like working hard on the island, and if I take their spot, it's like they feel like that's not really justified because I'm like from the U.S.
Yeah.
But then kind of realize, hey, like he is Puerto Rican though, and so like once they started seeing that I'm serious about it, I'm not just coming in and trying to dip out, then they seem to be a lot more supportive of it. Yeah.
So that'll put a chip on your shoulder.
Yeah, and it did early on.
And you know what? That's how I play. I play with a chip on my shoulder. I feel like I always gotta prove myself.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So that's kind of what it sound like. What I got from what you was just saying. Like it's like you had to prove yourself. You know what I mean? Because like I said, they down there working on the island, and then here you come. You know what I mean? Like I can relate to that. You know what I mean? Yeah, you gotta go prove yourself. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
and it's fair too. I mean, they have a good reason to be upset about it.
Right.
And so for me, it was like, all right, I do gotta put myself. I gotta show that I am serious about it. So
Right.
I didn't know Spanish going in.
Okay.
I went to college. I minored in Spanish because I was at that point. I was like, I always wanted to learn Spanish, but my parents weren't ever like super dialed into just speaking it. When I got to college, I was like, all right, I'm gonna just dive into this, and I minored in it, and it was still very difficult. But then going on these trips to Puerto Rico, I just kept on learning and learning. Now I can speak pretty much fluently.
My sister speaks fluently. My youngest sister. I speak limited. You need it. We need it. You know what I'm saying in Spanish. But yeah, I don't consider myself no American. I consider myself a black man born in America, not no American. For me to play in Lithuania, in Edenton, North Carolina, me is like I say, it was special. That's the only thing I can say about it. It's special. I'm living in Joniškis, Lithuania, which is like, I always compare it to Chapel Hill because it's small town. It was a school there. I think it was a high school. I don't remember. But, you know, still, it was special for me just to be there. You know what I mean? When you said it was special for you, that was probably the best thing to sum it up. That's what I would say. Like, it's hard to put it into words like you said. It's special. You know what I mean? And I'm the first from Edenton to play basketball on a professional level. You know what I mean? And it's special, man. But you on a whole nother plateau with it. You know what I'm saying? Representing Puerto Rico. That was a good question, man. I like to say it was special. When young Puerto Rican athletes see your story, what do you hope they take from it?
I have this dream to go live in Puerto Rico and build a combat sports complex that really is focused on trying to build wrestlers on the island.
Okay.
And trying to give back to the community and trying to have a lot of different interests aligned, but all together. Like a state-of-the-art kind of combat arena and everything, you know, like with all the kind of recoveries and stuff like that. And so what I hope is that Puerto Rican athletes will see that they can achieve what they want to achieve, and that if you're willing to put in the hard work, like you can get the high levels, you know. Because like, even though I wasn't born in Puerto Rico, I didn't always have like all the best resources, you know. I did have a really great support system.
Yeah.
I decided to go the public school route and not go into one of the parochial schools or Catholic schools there, which is like a big deal because in New Jersey, a lot of the guys that like become really good end up transferring to one of those schools, and those schools end up being like national powerhouses and end up having great partners and everything. And for me, it was like I had decent partners, but like a lot of times I had to take it to new creative levels to be able to get exactly what I need to be able to beat those kind of kids. And so I had to be like creative a lot, and I think with Puerto Rican wrestlers, that's kind of like what you gotta be, is like creative, be the best that you can be. You know, like maybe you have a good partner, maybe you don't have a lot of good partners, right? But if you have a smart mentality around it, you might be able to still be able to compete with the best because of the way you train yourself in that environment.
That's right.
And so like, I think that that's where I can relate, and that's where I hope that they can relate and be like, oh yeah, I can do that in that way.
Yeah.
I think that's a good question actually, because it's getting me thinking that's something I should put out there, like my story on that situation.
Yeah.
But
I encourage you to do it.
Yeah.
Because that's tough, you know what I mean? And that's another avenue where we relate, you know what I mean? That's tough, man. Like I said, to me it just sounds like, yeah, this young man, you got to prove yourself. My role's a little different. Step out there, you know, once you get on that prison compound, it's all you, right? Like, remember when I asked the question earlier, like when you out there on that wrestling mat and it's just all you, like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, same thing, like different dynamics. But you know, at the end, it's like the same learning tree at the end of it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so, yeah, man, you know, and I developed from it, you know what I'm saying? And you developed from it. And it's like the ingredients that goes into a recipe, all those little things that go into it. You see what I'm saying? So, hey, man, just me been learning about you, man, it's been inspiring, you know, and that's what we set out to do here at the Turnaround Podcast, is to inspire the next generation. And as long as you living, you know what I'm saying, just to inspire anyone who's willing to listen, no matter how old or how young. Because the only time it's ever too late is when we then transcend it. Then it's entirely too late. As long as we got breath in our body, we can always find a way to keep moving forward. And so that's why I say, man, I super appreciate you being here, man, because you helping us inspire. And just by you sharing, you know, your testimony and your story with us here at Turnaround, man, someone needs that. They need to hear that. You know what I'm saying? They need to hear how'd you get from one step to the next step. Because at the end of the day, we humans first. And everybody deals with adversities. But us as athletes, we respond. And some people, when they get faced with adversity, they don't respond. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, sure.
And that's kind of like the same thing as like what we say, freezing up. Like you can freeze up on a wrestling mat, you can freeze up on a basketball court. You see what I'm saying? It's done happen. And there was some things out there I wish I could take back on the basketball court. Might have missed a free throw when we needed it. I missed that free throw or something like that. Yeah, like I said, I was going to jump around a little bit. College and development. Was there a coach, teammate, or mentor that helped you change that mindset to lock in?
Well, yeah, so, I've been blessed with a lot of good mentors and people, especially throughout high school.
Yeah.
College, too, I feel like college, coach-wise, it became a little more sporadic because a lot of change in that. But I'll just put this out there because you're saying, like, people can learn. That's right, like, I think from the standpoint of just, like, if you're a person of influence, like using that influence for the positive of some youth, it can make a huge change in their life, you know, because like I said, I had a lot of anger issues and I was like one step away from probably going to juvie or something like that. Because I got kicked out of schools and I was in a special school that can deal with.
Me too.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was tough to get out, and like it took until like halfway through 8th grade. But like I said, I had a lot of people that were in my corner. And I think sports like really helped that out.
Okay,
Because they could
right,
see that I had
right.
a lot of drive, had a lot of potential, and that I was trying to be good, which was very hard for me to.
Right.
But a lot of people that were willing to kind of step in and try to show me a better path.
Right.
Ultimately, like faith is kind of like what really kicked it off in the best direction. But
yeah.
But I think there's a lot of people just helping out. So I think if you're in a position of influence like that, I use that to try to encourage the youth, whether they're struggling, they seem like a lost cause, like it'll make a huge difference. But going back to that, I think like when I think about college, someone that comes to mind is one of my best friends, Anderson Pope, and I'm always busy too, but we get our families together. He's got 3 boys, and we all hang out a good amount, at least once a month. But when I got to college, he was a strong guy of faith, the Christian faith.
Okay.
And it was my freshman year that we met. We were coming back from a party. I wasn't into partying really, and he wasn't either, so we kind of just left early.
Nothing wrong with that. That's what's up.
Yeah, and we had a great conversation. He was just explaining about, like, if you put your faith in Jesus and, like, you really believe that you can be forgiven of everything. And for me, it was kind of like an aha moment because I was like, oh, you could really be forgiven of everything. And I, like, understood that because I put my faith in Christ in 7th grade. But at that point, it kind of, like, clicked a lot more because there were a lot of pieces missing. And so, like, from then on, we just started, like, I didn't know how to read the Bible, so, like, we started, like, reading the Bible together.
Okay.
And he'd just be coming over to my dorm, like, every day. Whatever I read, whatever he read, we'd just be conversating on. And he became, like, a brother that kind of lead me in the right direction. And, like, he was one of my main partners. I do a lot of extra workouts, and he'd come with me, whether it was bike. And so we were kind of just building each other up, but it was, like, not just the physical, but on the spiritual side.
That's right. That's right.
So I feel like that was, like, a huge influence. And then for college, I feel like the big one actually was, like, with wrestling to grow that mindset was Kerry Cole. Like, he was a big time wrestler, like, very well known. He had, like, a lot of technique videos as well on YouTube. So, like, there's a lot of wrestling content online now. Back then, it was like, there was a good amount, but it was a lot of his stuff. I would just look at his stuff and then I practice in the basement.
Okay.
I feel like that's what helped me kind of jump levels, and then he recruited me to UNC. He became kind of like a mentor to me on just the wrestling, and like he would take me to his house, feed me, and like, we'd just hang out and watch his kids sometimes. I felt like it was a big deal with him because that first year I had done the wrestle off and I lost. I lost by a lot, but it was kind of like a messed up match because we were like wrestling into the wall and they weren't stopping it and stuff like that.
Okay.
But he showed me that it was like just one position and kind of broke it down where it was like I was kind of losing my mind. He was able to break it down. The next time I wrestled, it was like an overtime match.
Yeah, okay.
And so it was like he showed me that you don't have to complicate it. Just fix that one thing and you can win the match or you can close the gap.
Yeah.
And he was good for me in that
That's
round.
what's up.
And it was just a good staff, Like,
Yeah.
Eventually it changed, like I think my sophomore year. And I still had good coaches, but it just wasn't as close to everybody. But it was good still,
Yeah. Yeah, it's, you know what, man? I opened up and shared that, like, when I was coming up in the audio versions of the Turnaround podcast. And shout out to my boy, Stop by Spliff. He already know what's up. You know what I'm saying? My boy, B. Carrington. He already know what's up. Breeze through Brian. It's one of my boys. He hit me one day. And he'd be at work and he was just listening to my podcast. He was listening to the audio version of the podcast. And, explaining, like, my earlier childhood about how I was just a product of my environment, right? I'm going to school and like getting in trouble in middle school and stuff like that, and a little earlier than that, right? Academics was never a problem, right? But for you to share that, saying that you had, trouble as an adolescent, right? But I ended up going to a juvenile facility. I didn't know back then that was actually preparing me for the big house. I didn't know that back then because when I got out of the juvie, I kept doing stupid stuff that would land me back incarcerated at some point in time, till I actually got into the big house, prison. But for you to share that with us, because like I said, like I put that out there because I wanted to represent for those kids in BEH classrooms, which is behaviorally, emotionally handicapped, right? Those are the type of classes they put me in back then. I remember that, but I wanted to represent for those kids. And that's why I said, man, I can't thank you enough. Like, cause I had no idea, like, but for you to share that with us, man, that's huge, man. So that's telling them what you just did was tell them they could go from that to being Olympian. Talk about dreaming big, man. That's why I even asked you to come on, man, cause like I said, man, we just want to inspire, man. And what you just shared with us, that was heavy. And I relate to it, man.
Yeah,
I relate to it.
It's wild to think like paths, of each person and like what specific people can do to affect that path.
Right.
Like I think about it with my son too, because like he's got that fiery anger in him too. Like he reminds me a lot of me, and he reminds me a lot of my brother, and that it's kind of like a mix.
So you got to show him how to channel that energy.
And it's a little difficult because it's like there's some things I can really relate with him, and other things I can't because it's like it's a mix of me and my brother almost.
Okay.
But I'm realizing it's like, all right, like I just gotta be there, and I gotta be consistent.
That's right. That's right.
Eventually, I'm gonna have to be like intentional about him having good mentors and not being the only voice in his life, but like willing to just stay in that, show him that I'm not leaving regardless of all the crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And he's a really sweet kid, but he's got that in him.
What you think about this right here? Do you think social media changed how younger athletes approach the work ethic?
I think so. Yeah. I think it's been crazy to actually watch. They're like insane with how good they're getting right now. Like I don't know how it is with basketball or other sports. I've heard from my wife with swimming that the times just keep on getting so much faster because she was a swimmer. But yeah, the times just keep getting faster and faster. But with wrestling, it's been like really crazy too because you're getting all these true freshmen coming in or high schoolers coming in and like beating national champs or beating senior level world medalists. They're just coming in, they're just doing their thing. Like, and they're not like worried about the pressure or anything, they just love it.
Yeah.
And there's been like, first it was kind of like one, then maybe two, and then all of a sudden it was like 6 or 7 that were just like serious threats. To the point where like this national tournament, I think it was 4 but 5 were true freshmen that were wrestling to be a national champ.
Yeah, okay.
So it was, it was just crazy. Like, you kind of never see something like that. But But I feel like we keep on wondering, like, how is this happening? What's going on?
Yeah.
And I think it's a lot to do with, maybe not social media specifically, but I think just the access to like high-level training or high-level videos and like being able to wrap your mind around all that. Like there's one weight class was pretty crazy. It was like 4 freshmen that were the top 4. But there's one of them was saying how much videos he just watches all the time. Like,
right. Yeah, because they can go to YouTube and pull up just about anything.
Yeah. And he just looked like a gamer, looked super seasoned out there.
Yeah.
He just lost another guy that was really tough at that weight. So I think it seems to be helping, at least in that arena, you know. I don't know if I got your question completely right on that, but.
Yeah. Oh, no, man, that was great. You know, when it comes to basketball, social media, I would say some for the good and some maybe not so good, because a lot of the kids, they see the glamour, or they just see when the lights come on. They don't see what goes into it when the cameras ain't on. And that go back to the sacrifices and the discipline that we was talking about a little earlier. Like, because I know a lot of times when I used to train, you know, I don't come from that era where we go in the gym and we record ourselves and take selfies and all of that. And you go put that work in, and that manifested itself when it was time for competition. So, but it's grown. You know, a lot of stuff has grown. Sports has grown, but when it comes to that work ethic, man, you ever seen any of the Rocky Balboa movies? Rocky?
Yeah.
2 of my favorites was Rocky 3 and Rocky 4. Rocky 3 when he fought Clubber Lang with Mr. T. Rocky 4 when he fought Ivan Drago. And training regimens that he went through in those movies, along with his adversary, because Mr. T, the way Clubber Lang, the way he was training, gladiator, and then with Drago was cheating. You remember Drago?
Yeah, I remember Drago.
He was cheating. He was using the machines, and then he stuck himself. So yeah, he was cheating. But Rocky, the way he trained in Rocky 4 when he fought Drago was old school, and that's what I like. If kids could understand that part about it, like just get in there and just train. Get away from the cameras and all of that. Get in there and just train, and then let that light shine when you step out there on that wrestling mat or the football field or track and field or the basketball court.
I think it's a good point too, actually, because on the flip side of the benefit of it, it's also like, I think like with NIL, right, like you're trying to boost your image and your likeness and all this, right? It's like sometimes people get too much into that, and so like it leads to a lot of transfers, you know, trying to get like the best deal that you can. I think what was interesting is I saw a statistic on Instagram, and it might be like a little skewed, it might be a little off, but what the point of it was like how many of these transfers transferred and ended up All-American again, or ended up doing better or worse. And it was like, I think it was something like half of them did worse.
After entering the portal.
Yeah, and then a lot of them did kind of just the same thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think when you think about it, it makes more sense for it to be almost worse, because you're going from one environment where coaches know you and they're building you up to be something, and then you're leaving that environment, and there's a lot of change you gotta like overcome to do that.
Yeah.
And then especially if you're trying to boost the name, image, and likeness, then it's like you might be slacking off on whatever, because now you got this big deal. So I think it makes a lot of sense. It's just a lot to overcome when you go that route.
It is.
It's not that you can't do it, but then you're just putting yourself in a little bit harder
situation. Go back to what we were saying earlier about like when you get there, you got to prove yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, you know, no matter how far we travel, the truth gonna stand where we stand. You know what I mean? Can you think of anybody or anyone you just want to send some love out to?
Yeah, I guess my wife.
Yeah, that's what's up.
Yeah, she got the kids right now.
That's what's up.
So,
we thank you. Tell the wife we thank you here at the Turnaround Podcast.
She was a great support too. I just wrestled the Pan Ams like 2 weeks ago, and like I had all the family there, my wife and kids, and she had them the whole time and dealt with all the stuff, and it was cool to just be able to go in and see them and leave and relax and just kind of like not worry about stressing what's going on. Yeah. So I was like really grateful for that.
Yeah, that backbone, man. Someone to stand with you, someone to stand beside you. Wherever you need them to stand, stand behind you, stand in front of you, just stand with you. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't have that yet. Maybe one day I'll get married and have some kids. Maybe one day. But right now,
I highly encourage it.
I will one day, because it's, you know, I'm on the outside looking in, man, but I feel like, you know, that's my destiny one day. Yeah. You know, my path hasn't fully gotten me there yet, but it's on the way, and I'm just preparing in the meanwhile. You know what I mean? So that's what I would love to do.
They're prepared to be a man that she needs.
Right. I appreciate that. Exactly. You know what I mean? For those who might not know, let them know how they can get in contact with you, man, whether it be IG or...
Well, yeah, I mean, I do have Instagram. It's Ethan Adrian Ramos. I also have another wrestling page called Coqui Wrestling.
That's
Coqui. That's a frog of Puerto Rico. Coqui is kind of the sound it makes.
How you pronounce it again? Coqui?
Coqui.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I have a YouTube channel, it's Coqui Wrestling as well.
Yeah.
It's a little bit harder to find, but it's connected to Instagram, and if you just look up Coqui Wrestling with my name, it should come up.
That's what's up.
But yeah, that's kind of the ways that I connect. Yeah.
You know what, Ethan? I super appreciate you coming in, man. I could sit here and talk to you all night, man, but we're time sensitive, you know what I mean? We're gonna get you back.
All right, yeah.
We would love to have you back, man, because I want all my guests to eventually come back. Because all of you guys have like super positive momentum going in the community and society, and people want to hear what you guys have to say. And you guys have voices that galvanize the listeners. And when Talia Jasia first approached me about doing the Turnaround podcast, I was indecisive and I talked to my parents, and then, you know, I ended up saying, you know what, let's rock and roll with it. Because like I said, man, we just wanted to inspire and let people know that, like you said earlier, man, they can accomplish their goals and get to wherever they desire to get to.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? But you coming by today, dropping some jewels and some knowledge is heavily appreciated, man. And like I said, man, I wish you nothing but more success in the near future.
Thank you.
And we're gonna get you back. Let's see.
I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Man, I mean, it's huge of you to come through. Shout out to Duke women's head basketball coach, also Coach Carol Lawson. So at the time I was working at RDU Airport and came across her path, and she was on her way to the Olympics in 2024.
All right.
Yeah, because she's the head coach for Team USA.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I told her how much I admired her ever since she played at the University of Tennessee. And the world's so small guy I played against in high school and middle school, shout out to Rashard Lee, Hillside. And my homie Rashard Lee ended up playing at the University of Tennessee after he graduated in '95. And she showed me nothing but love, man. Classy, graceful woman.
Yeah.
And I watched her, remember we was talking about earlier about being aggressive? She was aggressive at Tennessee, but playing in the WNBA, she was aggressive her whole career too. And then she's Duke women's head basketball coach and Team USA.
Man, that's cool.
Yeah, Carol.
How long has she been there now?
I want to say maybe 5-6 years when the pandemic started, probably about the same time you been at Duke. Yeah, man. Anybody else you could think about? Friends, family? Anybody else you want to say anything to?
Yeah, I mean, just a lot of the family. Mom, dad,
Yeah.
sister. Yeah. I'm not really good with shout outs, but.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. Ain't nothing wrong with that. You did what you were supposed to do. You shout out the family and the wife. That's what you're supposed to do.
At least that.
Yo, man. Like I said, man, we time sensitive, but man, it's been a super honor and a super pleasure, man, and I appreciate you. We got to go get some photos in real quick, man. So we appreciate everybody out there who follow the Turnaround podcast, man. We just had Ethan Ramos, Olympian ACC Champion, Duke professor, the first UNC wrestler to qualify and to participate in the Olympics. You the first. Yeah, you the first. Yeah, the first. That's what's up. I'm the first from Edenton, North Carolina to play professional basketball. So I relate to you in that sense only. You did it on a mega scale. It's like super gigantor, man.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Yeah, I really love what you're doing with this because I love the idea of like giving people something that they can be inspired by and that you're not holding back on your story as well,
Right.
and just being able to like show where people can relate and be able to make it through, you know.
Right.
So I appreciate the platform to be able to do that as well.
That's what's up.
Thank you.
That's what's up. Mom didn't want me to do it when I went to her and talked to her about it. She didn't want me to do it because she didn't want people to judge me because of the things that I did in my past, early in my life. But that's what made me do it, because I thought about that and I was like, you know what? They don't have the power to do that.
And it's also people want like authenticity a lot of times, you know. And it's, I feel like, especially if you can look back at it and be like, hey, like, yeah, these were negative experiences.
Right.
But here's how I use them for positive. It's like you're not condoning those things. You're
Right.
like saying like,
Exactly.
let's turn it around.
Because it's all about leaving this place better than what we found it.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. And you coaching this, I'm sure it's the same way you feel. I coach high school boys You coaching the D1 college level. I'm sure that's how you feel. You want to leave them better. You want to leave the team and the program better than what it was before you got there. Yeah, we appreciate everybody at the Turnaround Podcast for the subscribes, the follows, the likes, the comments. We just had Ethan Ramos up here, man, and we're going to get him back. So we appreciate everybody, man. With that being said, man, we out like last year. Come on, E, let's go take some pictures, man.